wouldn't you like to have consistent hope in your life? Wouldn't you like to have consistency in knowing that if you get paid $1,000, I'm just using that as an example, that you're going to be able to save a certain percentage toward retirement, kids' education. You're going to learn with a budget how to live on let's say 90% of that $1,000. You use $100 for those savings goals and emergency fund maybe, and 90% you learn to take the needs within your budget and live within that needs. Welcome to Give a Heck. I am your host, Dwight Heck, and for much of my life, lived my life in quiet desperation, wondering how I was going to pay the bills, take vacations, save for retirement, and one day wondering if I would get off the hamster wheel of life and have purpose. A life that most of society lives, which takes us to work, then home, then repeat, and pays us hopefully enough just to survive. The harsh truth that most live with more months than money and have no idea how to live life on purpose, not by accident. This ensures the mass majority are living not just financially broke, however emotionally and mentally as well due to financial pressures. In each episode, I will introduce you to thoughts, ideas, and guests that can help you to learn how you too can live life on purpose, not by accident. Good day, and welcome to Give a Heck. On today's episode, I'm going to be doing a solo episode, and I'm going to touch base on some of the things that I get messaged or asked on a consistent basis about my life and how I got to where I am, and answering that big question: what is next? And I have to follow that with another question: what if? So, how do those tie together? Well, I'll touch on that in a little bit. What is next and what if? And how did I get to that spot in my life? So, this is a refresher for some of you that know me, and for those that don't know what I can do. I have been in the financial services industry for 22 years. This is now my 23rd year, and it has been a roller coaster of learning and challenging and adapting and working on my 6 inches between my ears through all that process. I won't get into origin of my childhood and some of those interesting facts that some people might find interesting. That is, check out my book, Give a Heck. Go to giveaheck.com to find out more information about that. But my origin was, in a nutshell, taught me a lot, hurt me a lot, make me grow part of me a lot. You know, at the end of the day, it's tough to talk about the things that I've challenged to myself to overcome, but some of it I will touch on. But mostly it's going to be factored on finance and what if, right? And what is next? What are you going to do in your life to change your financial status? If you're 18-year-old, because I have fans from 18 to in their 70s that listen to my show, it's never too late. I'll say that again. It's never too late to give a heck about your financial life and learning what you can do. I don't care what country you are living in and listening to my podcast, or maybe you're watching it on YouTube. It's never too late to help you. Yes, in my country, I'm licensed to do things for my clients that I help through some of the things I will discuss. You live, let's say, in New Zealand, you live in Australia. I have people I've dealt with and had conversations with around the world. I can still help you through the process that I've developed and learned to use for everybody, whether you're a hundredaire to a thousandaire to a millionaire to a billionaire. You need to understand the rules of the money game. You need to understand, what do I need to do next in my life in order to succeed? How do I continue to live a purposeful life? Maybe you don't live a purposeful life yet, and that's okay too. We start at baby steps. I start at baby steps, taking one step at a time with you. We work together to help you understand what you need to do. And along the way of me explaining this, I'll tell you why I developed this process for my clients. None of it's rocket science, but it made a difference in my life. Have you been that person? Here's another question for you. Are you a person that lives in quiet desperation? And you may be thinking, what do you mean, Dwight? What's quiet desperation? Well, do you quietly live in despair inside of your mindset? Do you live in a state of anxiety or depression or both? Because it's possible to live in both at the same time, regardless of what people say. So quiet desperation is putting on that mask, putting on, you know, a shield to protect everybody around you, including yourself, and not sharing what you're truly going through. Maybe it's troubles at work. Maybe it's trouble in your family. Maybe it's trouble with so many other things. Maybe it's just your communication style you're struggling with. Maybe you got a mental roadblock and you just basically despise Monday and you're so excited it's Friday. And now tonight you can sit and spend the next 48 hours partying, doing whatever addictive behavior you think will help mask your quiet desperation because you're not happy with your current status in life. A lot of it has to do with money. The number one problems in families, individuals, and business that causes stress is money, causes anxiety and causes depression. Oh, I should have done this decision. I should have done that, and I didn't. Oh, what am I going to do a week from now? What am I going to do tomorrow? How am I going to take care of this challenge in my life? Again, it can be emotional, mental, financial. It can be many things revolving around your individuality, around your family, around your career, your business you may own. There's so many things that we do not challenge ourselves or nobody else challenges us, especially the school system. Again, I'm not here to insult the school system. The teachers and admin staff are doing their best with the curriculums they have, but they don't teach us things. They don't teach kids how to personally develop. They teach them garbage classes that teach them maybe a little bit about finance, a little bit about different things, but they really don't get into the meat of challenges. Let's say you have a kid at school that's having some major health issues and is getting bullied and picked on, and his grades are suffering. He doesn't know which way to turn, and that kid comes home. His tension, his anxiety is now brought into the family. And that could be the same if you're the parent and you're getting, nowhere at your career, your job, or your business is suffering on whatever level. Maybe it's because you're not getting along with somebody. Maybe you've lost a big contract and your career is in jeopardy, or your business because you were counting on that big contract. And that stress you bring home. And you live in quiet desperation because most people want to shelter their family from that stress. And you think that you can leave work at work. Impossible. It affects your 6 inches between your ears. It affects your emotional stability, your mental stability. It affects your center of your life. And all of a sudden, you're again back to that quiet desperation, right? Comes home. Sometimes they hide it from their family that they're getting bullied. Quiet desperation. I was one of those kids. I had severe health issues growing up. I won't get into all the details again. You can read about it in my book or listen to one of the many interviews I've had as a guest in other podcasts where I explain some of it. But bottom line, I lived a life of quiet desperation. I'd come home and I'd try to talk to my parents about it, but because of their generation, you know, my dad would be like, just sock them one, right? Just beat him up or whatever. It was all physical. My mom was, oh, you got to be kind to other people. And so that yin and yang didn't really help. It got to a point where I didn't want to share what was going on. Yet I'd come home miserable and I'd try to pretend I wasn't, and unless you scream to top of the mountains that somebody, can hear you, that you need help, your family isn't always necessarily the help that you need to get over quiet desperation as a child suffering in school. Obviously, children aren't listening to this, but I want you parents to realize and watch the signs of quiet desperation in your kids. There's something going on, right? And if you're so wrapped up in your own stuff, then you can't see their stuff. And then they come home, they can see you're stressed. Maybe you're trying to rush around, cook a meal. You got home from your 9 to 5, and the child wants to talk to you, but you shoo them away, right? You don't give them any defined reason. Instead of shooing them away, how about you say, you know what? How about we talk about this? Can it wait till after supper? Mom, dad, whatever, are gonna listen to you then. We promise you. But right now, we got so many people to feed. We got to get supper on the table. But if it's urgent, I will give you a few minutes now, and then we can discuss it more in detail later. What would you like? Children like choices. Do you, as an adult, like choices? Absolutely. It's called the A-B close. The easiest way to get along with people is using A-B close, right? How about we do it at this time or we do it at that time? In between, we can chat for a couple minutes and then I have to get on to supper. I got to get on to whatever you're working on. It's just, you know, have that conversation, ask questions, prioritize them. They do not have the critical skills that you have. Obviously, if you had a bad day at work or whatever, and you're living in that quiet desperation and you're struggling, you need to communicate with your significant other or other people that can help counsel and help you be able to cope, to have hope, to move forward. That's what your child's looking for from you. So if you can give them that support, great. If you can't give it to them because you're going through so much, then find other people that that child can communicate with. When they're having a tough day, they get home, maybe they call their grandparent, maybe they call an aunt or an uncle, right? Somebody that's an adult that's stable for them to talk to. You don't need to add fuel to the fire, right? So that's quiet desperation for a child, quiet desperation for an adult. Adults so have coping mechanisms that they utilize that I'm not going to agree or disagree with. They'll come home and they'll pour a glass of wine, they'll pour whiskey, or they'll pour themselves, whatever. Maybe they'll have a beer. Maybe they're a marijuana user and they'll go and smoke marijuana. Guess what all that stuff is though? It's a temporary band-aid for your mental state. When you come down, your problems are still there. I'm not saying you can't use products in moderation, but most people use it as a mask to hide. They're not using it as an enjoyment thing, and they overdo it. They don't do it in a sense where they're just doing enough to because they're in a good mood to celebrate. They overdo it, and they do that weekend after weekend after weekend, and then sometimes it develops into them doing it every single evening during the work week even. Oh, I'm just going to have one glass of wine with supper or while I cook supper, or I'm going to go do this before I eat or whatever. Again, I'm not here to judge you. I'm here to say that what's next? What if you worked on your personal development? What if you read a good book? And if you're not a reader, I'm not a huge reader, but I use Audible. I can listen to books, love it. You could do that as well. Buy a few good books. Reach out to me. I can give you some great books that can help you um, start on your journey. For example, How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. Again, I'll say it again. How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie is a book should read. Yes, I pronounced the last name maybe different than you're used to, but if you actually research it, it's not pronounced how it's been pronounced over the last generations, right? But regardless of that, How to Win Friends and Influence People, The Magic of Thinking Big is another good book, right? There's so many good books out there. Stephen Covey, Seven Habits of Highly Effective People. The list goes on of books that can help you realize and level up and add value to your life. And yes, I will self-promote. My book, Give a Heck, 100, less than 150 pages, 3-hour read, will teach you that you can get past some of the most difficult situations in your life And it talks a little bit about what I'm going to talk about soon about goal setting. It talks a little bit about in one of the chapters about why budgeting is so important. But it's not a finance book. It's more of a give a heck how to live life on purpose, not by accident, is what the subtitle is. It's teaching you that you can go through hills and valleys, that you can stand up, put a band-aid on your boo-boo, and move forward. There's so much more for you to live life. Now, one session in life is defined. We're all born, we all die, right? So at the end of the day, you have to ask yourself and tell yourself this phrase: life is in session. This is not a dress rehearsal. I say it to myself all the time. It doesn't always work, but sometimes it just snaps me out of a negative mindset. Instead of living in the past or living in a future that hasn't happened, live present in today. Live the present day the best you can because life isn't in session. Life is in session, pardon me. This is not a dress rehearsal, and you need to do what it takes to move your life forward. So ask yourself, what is next and what if? What if I changed and I put a little bit more effort in? What if I started slowing down on some of the addictive things that I utilize, like binge watching TV is an addiction. Um, Constantly going out every evening to find things to do is an addiction. You're looking for things to avoid your life, right? Um, what are you listening to for music? What are you listening to for books? What are you reading? What are you watching for television? Are you watching everything that's always sad? Are you watching or reading things or listening to people that are always sad? Do you understand that there's choices you have in life and what you associate with, the people you associate with, how much you associate with them, and figuring out a gauge? I help people go to coach, pardon me, people to go through that too, to understand um, a principle I call the 70-30 principle on how you gauge whether or not somebody's healthy for your life and whether or not it's time to walk away. Not everybody in your life is designed to be in every season of your life. Sometimes they were there for a specific reason, and you vice versa in there, and you move on, and that's okay. This is your journey of life. Are you enjoying it? Are the people in your lives or the things that you watch, do, say, post, read on social media one of the worst things? All it does is incite anger and keyboard warriors and people that just don't, all they want to do is deflect away from their crappy lives. So they post ignorant things on social media to spark controversy and anger. And some people just do it because they like being shit disturbers. And you go ahead and do that. If that's the joy you get is getting people riled up so they start saying negative things and you go feed it some more, you know what? Honestly, that doesn't really excite me. I try to avoid people like that now on social media. Um, yes, sometimes their content's great, but it's back to that 70-30 principle I talked about. If 70% of the time I read or listen or talk to somebody and I feel great, we'll continue to be friends. 30% of the time, it's stuff that kind of irritates me, irks me, move on, right? As long as it's not morally apprehensive or illegal, you know, I'll still be friends with them. But if they ever approach a point in time where 50% of the time I don't like what they're saying, I don't like what I'm reading, I don't like anything that they do, and it makes me feel blah. And the next time I see their name, see a picture, see them face to face, if I got mixed feelings, they are not a friend that needs to be in my life. I'm going to exit the other way. We're in different seasons, and I want to continue to enjoy the journey and move my life forward. I want to live that purposeful life. So, what if you worked on your personal development? How would that affect your finances? Well, when you start thinking more clearly, you start thinking about your childhood, you start thinking about some of the money monsters or even life monsters you've had. Have you ever had anybody question them in a very kind way? Ask the right questions so you can analyze and look at your life and go, wow, I didn't realize that had that much effect on my life. I didn't realize that I go out and I spend money so crazy. Retail therapy, they call it. And then I have the buyer's remorse. So I have that dopamine high from buying it. And then I realize I can't afford it, but I don't want to take it back. Maybe you feel ashamed or guilty for doing it. and you hang on to this product or service. You see your credit card, now you're slid into depression. And it is something that happens from time to time, all the time. There's people out there that suffer through retail therapy and then they're broke all the time. They're not living a purposeful life. They need to learn how to uh, work on their 6 inches between their ears and understand, why did I get to this point? What caused this? What can I change? And for quite a bit of that, a good coach, a good lifestyle finance coach like myself can help you through that. Again, it doesn't matter where you live. I may not be able to help you with the product or service. You live in Alberta or BC in Canada, I'm licensed to help you out. Anywhere else, you can still utilize my services and hire me as a life finance coach to help you figure out the things I'm talking about, the things that are challenging in your mindset that have caused you to live a life where maybe you have more month than money. What does that mean? More days in a month than you have money. By the 15th, you've run out of money. You're using lines of credit cards, loans, borrowing money just to get ahead, or you're just not paying. And then you get a 2 or 3 months lapse in payment bill and threat to get cut off. I've seen it time and time again. I lived it at one time. I lived it because the traditional sector in the world, not just Canada or the US, does not educate people in school how to win the rules of the money game, how to win at understanding money and not let it be something that grips you in your heart and causes you to live that quiet desperation, that facade where somebody asks for something instead of being honest that you don't know that you can't afford it. Or even if you do know you can't afford it and you say yes, you're people pleasing, right? My kids, we had discussions, we had to. Sorry, is that a need or a want? Right? What if you understood the differences between needs and wants? For those that are listening that do, great, but this is a refresher. A need is something that is a requirement. I live in a cold climate during the winter and we hit -30, -40 here. A need is natural gas to fire up the furnace to be able to heat my home. If that furnace breaks down and I don't have any money, that is worth spending credit or overdraft or whatever to get fixed, because the detriment to my health, not having heat in my home or the pipes freezing or whatever, that's a need. So you need to get it fixed. Oh, well, my furnace is working pretty good, but I'm thinking of getting a more fancier furnace. Yes, I know you're laughing, but there's fancier furnaces you can get out there. And it's 15 years old. It's had its good days and who knows when it's going to die. I'm going to go buy a new furnace. That's a want. That's not a need. You have a functional furnace that isn't causing any problems, that isn't broken down, but you're in debt. You can't afford to pay your bills. You're living with more days in the month than money. And at the end of the day, you are broke. And if you're not at zero at the end of the month and you're beyond zero, you're beyond broke, right? Broke is just breaking even every month, in my opinion. And nobody wants to live a life of broke. Everybody wants to live an intentional life. So, how do we do this? How did I get past this quiet desperation? How did I get past some of the financial hurdles and develop what I currently use for clients, including clients today, clients that are heading into retirement in the next few months, going over numbers, helping them with some of the anxiety of applying for government pensions and other things, because that's what I do. I understand that fear of not understanding your inflows and outflows of money, and understanding the rules of the money game is critical to living a purposeful, happy life. So I got into the insurance investment industry in 2002. And I was, six-figure earner, owned a computer consulting IT firm, and I consulted for many people. And at the end of the day, had to leave due to health circumstances, won't get into that. Got offered to get into finance and was told the number one thing they said to me, we know you make decent money, but you're a wreck. And they were right. I, like many people, would look at my bank account and think, "Ooh, I got $500 in this bank account that I use for paying my bills. I'm going to go buy this." Yet I don't have anything detailed down. I don't have a running budget and know that, oh my goodness, next week is a payment for 350 and 150 coming out, and that $500 was needed for that. Meanwhile, I go spend the 500 bucks. Now those two bills come through. They go into overdraft if I have a room. Some people don't have room, and then you got to use a line of credit or whatever to pay those bills. And it's because we don't have a defined, written down plan. And that's what a budget is: needs and wants. I sit with people, they go through, we talk about it. I do it on a lot of it on Zoom call. You don't have to be sitting across from me. I can help you, I promise. We will go through and detail all your budget. We will figure out, and I'll teach you needs and wants. I will ask you very precise questions as we do the budget, as well as doing the budget. Then we make the budget fit into your goals. I help you goal set, right? I help you understand, what do I need to do? What are my top, what are my top goals, right? You need to ask yourself. And you'll start telling me, Dwight, this is what some of our goals are. And I'll say, well, let's work on the top three. The rest we can work on, but let's work on the top three that are priorities. And let's tie that into the budget. One of your selections is that you're extremely in debt, and you're struggling to make your payments. And when I look at your stuff and we break down your debts, you're paying some of it 20-30% interest, right? It can be really high depending on what your circumstances are. Most credit card companies, you miss three payments or late payments, they raise you up to over 30% now as an interest rate, right? Maybe you got yourself behind the wall and you couldn't qualify for good credit and had to go to B credit, and you're paying 40-50%. Trust me, it's out there. I have clients that I've sat down that are new, and I've helped them through this process because I helped them want to consolidate their debt, and using the budget to understand the differences between needs and wants, get rid of some of the wants and free up that money to start paying your debt down, to start saving for retirement, start saving for kids' education. Maybe be able to go out once a month without it being on credit, just to take your family to a movie, right? Maybe it doesn't even have to be, you can't afford the movie, but maybe you can put together a lunch and you can go to the park, or you can go, if you're colder weather, go skating together. You start realizing that money is a tool to help you live a better life, but it isn't the de facto standard. Memories, time with your family can be done very on the cheap, right? So what is next, and what if? What if you actually put some effort into doing some work on your personal self? What if you found a mentor such as me to help you through some of the hurdles and valleys of what has caused you to slow down your life? What if you have somebody that can help you plan, goal set, budget? And again, if you don't live in Canada, I'll guide you and direct you throughout the process, right up to the result of where you need to go utilize products and services that I can help you with, right? That are local to your community or your province. If you're in the States and you're in the States, if you're around the world, wherever you live, I can help you. I promise you. And you can just go to giveaheck.com and go up and go to the contact and book a no cost video call with me. We'll just have a conversation. I promise you it'll be very relaxed. I'll just ask you some questions. I don't want it to be overwhelming. I want to give you something that maybe you haven't had in a lifetime already, and that is consistent hope. We all have bouts of hope in our life. We all have bouts of, you have faith that things are going to be better. But at the end of the day, wouldn't you like to have consistent hope in your life? Wouldn't you like to have consistency in knowing that if you get paid $1,000, I'm just using that as an example, that you're going to be able to save a certain percentage toward retirement, kids' education. You're going to learn with a budget how to live on let's say 90% of that $1,000. You use $100 for those savings goals and emergency fund maybe, and 90% you learn to take the needs within your budget and live within that needs. Is it possible right away? Sometimes it takes a little bit of work, and I help you through that process. I have a workshop that I can take you through that teaches you how to increase your cash flow and manage debt. I can do that workshop for you on Zoom. Don't matter where you are in the world. If there's enough people interested, I will do um, a workshop to 40, 50 people. Not a problem. I have no issues with that. I've been using the workshop materials that I utilized and adapted over the last few years and continue to adapt since I started in this industry. And they can make a huge difference in your life. I have five of them, right? One's on estate planning, one's on why insurance is important. The list goes on, right? But at the end of the day, what if you changed your life one day at a time, one step at a time? And maybe that first step is just to go onto my website, go on to giveaheck.com, go up and book an appointment with me, right? And let's have a chat. Let's have a conversation. You have absolutely nothing to lose, but you have everything to gain on the journey of attempting, because it doesn't happen without action. Attempting to have a purposeful life takes work, and you have to keep on grinding at it your whole life. Does it get easier? Absolutely. Initially, it's, goal setting, budgeting, understanding needs and wants, working with you on your numbers, helping you with your 6 inches between your ears, and with some life coaching on how to have proper associations, on how to never have a bad day. I won't even get into that, but I've just got interviewed this week, right? On a podcast where they literally challenged me on that. And I explained how the process works, how to never live a bad day. I have character building moments, but I don't have bad days because I so choose to have good days. I learn and I teach, and I've adapted so many different things to make my life better so that I can help you. That's why I got into this industry, to be a servant, to help other people, because I had nobody supporting me. I had so many improper things put in place. Nobody taught me proper goal setting. Nobody taught me proper budgeting. Nobody taught me about needs and wants. It's just, the list goes on. And I've learned some of it I'd heard about, but I've learned the details and the intricacies of how it can change my life. And I use it to help other people change theirs. All you need to do is step out of your comfort zone, because nothing in life is achieved if you sit inside your comfort zone too long. You'll never truly achieve greatness in your life if you go to work, go home, get paid, and live on a hamster wheel. Because all of a sudden life slips by. Your journey of life, you've lived in quiet desperation, wearing a mask, hiding it from others as best you can, and then you continue to, you're just not happy. We all deserve to have happiness. This life that's in session can be, you can literally fine tune it. You can work on it. You just need somebody to help you. And that starts with what if. Again, what if you made a change? Where could your life go? What would your family think? What will your colleagues, people around you think as you start having a quicker, step? You're a little bit more, you got this little bit of swagger, you smiling more, you feel more relaxed, and you learn to have those moments during the day where things can be a little bit stressful, and utilize things that I teach to shut that down as quick as possible. Is what I teach 100% effective? Absolutely not. But it's effective more times than it's not. It's made me live, uh, a purposeful life. It helped me be a single dad of five kids. It taught me to do without. It taught me that some of the things that I was doing out was really things I didn't need. I didn't need to keep up with my relatives and what they had, or the neighbors, the Jones and the Smiths, have a better vehicle, have a bigger house, have a bigger holiday, and brag about all of it on social media, yet behind the scenes they're living in quiet desperation. They're living a miserable life. And then they become that either person that's so introverted they don't leave their house, they hide behind on the keyboard and they post garbage stuff on social media. They go to family events and or gatherings of any type, and they're toxic and people avoid them because they attract people that are exactly like them, and then they commiserate with one another. Do you want to be that person? What is next? Well, what is next is that you need to look inside yourself and say, I am the willing. I'm tired of being sick and tired of being sick and tired. I want to change my life. And I know no matter what age I am, I can change it for the better, right? I can move forward. I have people such as Dwight that care about me, or I know somebody else in my community, or somebody and they've tried reaching out to me and I cut them off. I don't give them the opportunity to help me to the best of their ability because I don't want to admit. I don't want to be vulnerable. I will be vulnerable with you. I will share the trials and tribulations I've gone through, or if not, trials and tribulations from 22 years of stories and the realities of dealing with and helping with clients, right? Obviously, all of it's personal information, and none of that personal information will be shared. It'll be the story of and the outcome of how what we did to help them, that individual, that person, that group, that company. And if you're with an organization listening to this and you want me to come speak on your stage, check out my website. I got a bunch of speaking topics there that are listed that I speak on stage about and that I have no issue, coming to share. But first and foremost, the first thing you need to do is, are you the willing? Is your life everything you need it to be? If your life, and you're listening to this and you've listened to the whole podcast and you're happy with your life, but you don't know how to get through to your siblings, your friends, business partners, people you work with in a career, at your job, whatever, maybe we should talk. Maybe I can give you some things that will be able to help them open up and live the more purposeful life, to live the purposeful life that you're already living. And maybe you think your life's purposeful, and maybe I can fine tune it a little bit. But anyway, there's so much more I could share, but just realize I am committed to serving humankind to help make a difference so that people can stop living in quiet desperation, living on that hamster wheel, and no defined purpose. Wouldn't you enjoy that? Again, what if you change your life one baby step at a time? What can you expect? What changes will you see? Will you be more happy? Will you be more fulfilled? Will your family be that way? Will your work, your career that you go to be better? Maybe you'll decide that career wasn't right for you and that was the issue, and it's time to be, looking for another career. Maybe you want to, you've had a dream to be an entrepreneur, a business owner, but without conversation, you can never really understand what is required to move forward in life. Again, you're happy, you're living purposeful, you're dreaming about having a business or a job, or pardon me, a better career that pays more, but you're satisfied right now, there's nothing wrong with that. But if that changes, reach out, right? Let me have a conversation with you and ask some questions to see if your dreams, your aspirations, the things that when you talk about with others, you get excited, you get a spring in your step, and you got the warm and fuzzies. You just can't wait to talk about it with like-minded people, but you weren't willing to step outside of your comfort zone to try it. Again, could be a business, could be a new career, could be a different job. Let's have a conversation. It's not going to cost you anything to have an introductory call with me and us visit to see if there's something I can help you out with. Again, no matter where you are in the world, out of all the countries that listen to my podcast, I'm here for you. Reach out. I can coach and help you with so many different things. I may not be able to utilize products and services for you after the fact, but I can give you the service of helping you figure out if I can help you. And we put together a program and plan that fits you, fits your budget, and move you forward. I thank you for coming on. If you liked what you've listened to, please do me a favor and go onto the podcast service, or if you're watching this on YouTube, and rank, subscribe, and comment about the podcast. And please share it with others. It's a really easy thing to do, to share this podcast. It might make a difference in their lives. And the more people that it gets shared to, the more people that listen to my podcast, just like social media, there's an algorithm, and only certain people get introduced to it that are new to the show. And by you doing that, you help me expand my reach to help out and serve more people so that they too can give a heck and live life on purpose, not by accident. I appreciate you listening to me. I hope you have a fantastic spring, which is coming up right away here, and that your winter has been blessed and peaceful. If not, again, reach out. Let's make your spring and summer fantastic. I look forward to talking to you soon. I hope you enjoyed the podcast. God bless you all. And I look forward to meeting some of you either through the comments that you leave on your platform that you listen to it, or reach out again through the website. Or if you just want to send me an email, it's just my name, Dwight@giveaheck.com. You can email me again, Dwight@giveaheck.com. I look forward to talking to you soon. And one last closing message, like I do on all my podcasts. At the end of the day, no matter what you're going through, other people are going through things too, sometimes worse than you. So when you see somebody, smile, be kind, and if you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all. Just be a person that's going to shine light into the world, not gloom and doom. And if you can't, avoid people. Avoid talking to people unless you're talking to them to get support to get out of your slump. Take care, and remember, no matter how life is, no matter how bad it gets, it's never too late to give a heck. Thank you for taking time out of your day and listening to Give a Heck. If you find value, I'd appreciate you sharing with your friends and family so they too can learn how to live life on purpose, not by accident. So you do not miss the next episode, please subscribe on your favorite podcast platform, and please also post a review. I look forward to reading your comments. This has been Dwight Heck. If you want to check out other podcast episodes or today's show notes, please check out my website, giveaheck.com. And until next time, together let us all strive to give a heck.